Hello?
Hey, Danny, I forgot to mention something. I forgot to say this in the episode.
What?
What if, this movie, like the Child's Play movie, what if it was about, like, if Andy was, like, 19 years old and he was in college and he was sexually exploring life and they called it butt play instead?
DECONSTRUCTION.
What's up, everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and most importantly on YouTube. Give us a like. Share us. With your host, Komp, and
Round Quarter.
today's film is
Child's Play 2019. It's the remake. It's not the original.
Child's Play 2019. A mother gives her 13-year-old son a toy doll for his birthday, unaware of its more sinister nature. He also kills people who disobeyed Andy. Wow, who wrote that?
Uh-oh.
Directed
That's
by
really dumb.
Directed by Lars Cliffberg. Written by Tyler Burton Smith. And based on characters by Don Mancini. Starring Aubrey Plaza, Mark Hamill, Gabriel Bateman, and a whole bunch of other people. Wait, what's the name of that guy who plays the cop? He's in a lot of stuff now. Brian Tyree Henry. There you go. Who was he?
Mark
He
Hamill?
was in another movie. I already said Mark Hamill. Anyway, so this is the long gestating but quickly produced sequel, remake, reimagining of Child's Play. We actually spoke about this I forgot which episode. It was definitely an episode with Thea where
I probably didn't sound very hopeful.
No, you did
during
not. And it was funny because I had said what the original plot was. It was right. Like, it was about a Chinese.
Yeah, when you said that
doll.
the Chinese, well, I guess Vietnamese, but
Yeah, they changed it because China is a major contributor to Hollywood film making money.
But
So.
when you said that, it sounded so stupid to me, and it's still kind of stupid,
It
but
is.
definitely better than the sequels.
Yeah, here's the
of
thing.
the main.
Here's the thing with the Child's Play remake. Like, I was ready to give it. I'm not like, who gives a fuck about remakes? I'm not really into remakes, but
Yeah.
the sequels to the original films, helmed by the original guys, were so god awful that I was like, I'm ready to see
Curse
a
of
sequel.
Chucky, and what was the other one?
Underage
I know-
Bride of Chucky.
No. Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky. Those are like obviously stupid. But what are the ones after that? Is Curse of Chucky,
Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, Cult of Chucky was horrible.
You know what I say about
Like,
those movies? Who gives a
horrible.
fucky? Anyway, but seriously, that Don Mancini, and now, with the end of Cult of Chucky, which we reviewed, a movie where they reused a fucking kill from Bride of Chucky, where
And they have CGI, horrible CGI of him running upstairs. It's like, just get a midget in a costume like you used to do.
That's an offensive word.
A small person in a costume.
Oh, I meant
like you used to
costume.
do.
Costume, I meant magical application.
Yeah, no, that's
the
offensive.
word. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, so those movies, and now, with the end of Cult of Chucky, they realized whichever is it Universal, I assume, that owns these characters, they said, fuck it. They were
I'm not
like,
sure.
yeah, go ahead, make a TV.
Orion Pictures.
No, Orion, I
United
think
Artists.
Orion doesn't really exist anymore, does it?
Through United Artists. I'm looking at the wiki right now.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
but he's always at the Universal Halloween
I
horror
don't know,
shows.
man.
Anyway,
What do you
he
want?
used to be. So anyway, they said, okay, you can go make now the Chucky TV show. And I'm like, oh, so it's going to follow the movies where...
Is what's-his-face going to be then? Brad Dourif?
Yes, because I think his daughter is going to be one of the main characters because of how it ended off with Cult of Chucky.
Oh, help us. God.
But I know, I feel bad. Like, if you listen to progressively each Child's Play movie, you can hear through Brad Dourif's voice that he doesn't give a shit.
I mean, this is the thing. The first one is great. The second one is great. The third one, everybody gives a shit. I actually think it's pretty good.
Okay.
Seed of Chucky is obviously horrible, but in like a funny way. Bride of Chucky's kind of like whatever. And then the next two are just awful.
Yeah, Bride of Chucky for a movie-going experience was good, but to me it was the
A little
end
whatever.
of the road for me.
Seed of Chucky, though, is like
Play.
so absurd it's funny.
Because
Like,
this is one of
you
those type of films where horror fans be like, well, you're not really a Child's Play fan because you didn't like all of them. Like, yeah, okay, suck my dick because I can see they're horrible. They're horrible movies. What they did with these rest of these fucking movies, and I can imagine what the show's gonna be like. The only reason that I have any sort of idea that the show would be any good is because the guy who produced the series or created the series, what is that show on Sci-Fi? Channel Zero. He's supposedly working on the show, which is the only way that show could be any good. Because Don Mancini clearly, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. I
lost his mind.
He obviously had to change it up to keep the show going. You know, I mean, to keep the movies going in a different fashion. Because I was listening to him on. I was listening to him on that show. Postmortem with Mick Garris. There's an actually really good interview with him. I had no idea that he was gay, and there's a reason why. Obviously, Seed of Chucky is probably groundbreaking for the type of horror film
John
it is.
Waters,
right? Yeah, so I guess it does land that way, but being groundbreaking does not make a good movie because that was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Oh,
I mean that movie's funny, right? At least it's funny. It's meant to be horrible. It's funny, but the one before it is just nothing, and then the ones after it are like, god damn, they're so bad.
Yeah, what was the last one? Not Cult of Chucky, the one before it. Curse of Chucky was okay. It wasn't great because you know what? Chucky's alive, so when they spend an hour waiting for Chucky to come to life, you're like, come on, hurry up with this bullshit. And then Cult of Chucky was just a horrible movie. A horrible, horrible movie that reused the killing from Bride of Chucky with breaking a mirror on the ceiling. And I don't think that the director was actually even aware that he ripped himself off. I think he maybe people were like, oh wow, it's a great callback. No, I don't think so. I think it was just fucking horrible. Anyway, so with that, this was a weird sort of happenstance.
What do you think of the design of this Chucky?
I'll get to that in a second. But this is the rare instance where a film series continues while the original, where the original gets a reboot at the same time as the supposedly original series is still getting, continuing on, which is very strange because a lot of movies...
I've never heard of that before.
Because a lot of things now, it's like, they go, like, say, like Ghostbusters, like, that wasn't really a franchise. It ended at the second one, but people wanted to treat it like it was a franchise because of the cartoon show and all that stuff. It went away, then they... For some reason, when they made the one with the women Ghostbusters, they wanted to make sure, hey, fuck guys. Like, myself, I can give a shit less. That movie was so...
I never actually saw it because I heard it was just so bad.
Yeah, it was like, I don't give a fuck if it was all women or if it was all, like, green aliens. It was so fucking unfunny. It was unbelievable. And then they got rid of it, and you know what they're doing? They're just rebooting it with the original Ghostbusters storyline, with the original character sort of thing. So they're doing that.
Minus Egon.
That's what, right? Yeah. So that's what they do now. It's like now on TV, like on Netflix, they brought back Invader Zim, which was Did they? Yeah, there's an Invader Zim movie. It's good.
What?
You didn't know that?
No.
It's fucking good. It's really good. It's a very good movie.
Oh shit, dude! I fucking love Invader Zim.
Yeah, they made a movie. It's called Enter the Florpus, and that's created by...
How did I not know about this?
You don't pay attention to this. You actually try to live your life. But it's made by Jonan Vasquez, who it's an hour.
Who did Johnny the Homicidal Maniac?
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. It's about an hour. It's about an hour and 20 minutes of film, and they also did it with Rocco's Modern Life.
He swore he would never work with Nickelodeon again.
Well, I guess he found money. Well, it's Netflix, so I guess it's different. But anyway, so that's what happens now. Now you're seeing weird sequels to original films, but this was not the case with Child's Play. Child's Play is a fresh reboot. They completely changed the storyline to its betterment and into its worseness. He's basically
Terminator from Terminator 3, that lady that controls all the machines and shit.
So the Child's Play in this one follows the same beat-for-beat sort of storyline in the original one, but with a major change in the premise, which is why the original one I still believe is still a superior film. But as a Child's Play remake itself, you know what? Not bad. I actually liked it. But I don't know whether it's because I hate the sequels to the original so bad.
That's part of why I like it.
I think so too. So here's
because honestly, I had my bar was so low for this.
Yes, that you're like, whoa, like it's a breath of fresh air sort of thing. Because you know what? Here's the thing with this new Child's Play. It sort of hovers around in that safe blandness that the new It film is. Do you know where it's like...
Don't ruin the new It film.
No, just the original It. Okay, the It from last year. The It with the kids.
I like that movie.
Right, but the thing is, it's like sort of a safe horror film. You know what I mean? compared to the original, if you rewatch the original one, you realize, it's not that very good. Like, it's only the kids' parts are good, and the adults, who gives a shit. And obviously Pennywise is still the original Pennywise. I still think is great in that one. Anyway, but it's sort
Tim
of
Curry.
Tim Curry, obviously, and the new Pennywise is fine, but it's just like whatever. He looks all right.
I really like the new Pennywise.
So, but there's sort of a safe blandness with it. Like, it feels very processed, just like this one. The difference between this Child's Play and the original Child's Play is obviously they're getting rid of the Charles Lee Ray character in the film, who is the homicidal serial killer, and the whole point of it, and that's what made the original one a little bit more scarier, because there was this whole demonic, evil sort of spirit play.
You didn't. Also, I mean, they can't help it, but like, we didn't know what Chucky was. Like, the only premise to Chucky before that was like Talking Tina from like Twilight Zone or something.
Right, and so I think losing that aspect of the film does a disservice in a sense that it makes Chucky very iconic, like sort of Jason or Freddy. Do you know what I mean? Well, Jason doesn't talk, but you get what I'm saying. That they have a sort of a character appeal to them. Michael Myers and Jason are probably interchangeable, but I think Jason has the more entertaining films myself. But getting rid of Charles Lee Ray and getting rid of the whole voodoo aspect to a more sort of realistic. This becomes a Christopher Nolan Batman realistic quasi.
I have a friend who can like say the whole like prayer he says to get into the body.
How does it work to him? He jumped inside of like a G.I. Joe.
He could like yell it and make it sound exactly the same. It's so funny.
But anyway, so this one, how does the Chucky become evil in this one?
He, a angry Vietnamese man who was working in a sweatshop, is fired, and so he takes out all the protocol to prevent it from like going nuts and bad AI and violence and all.
But I mean, it's like one doll. Is he that smart of a guy that he's like, I'm gonna fuck this doll up and somebody's gonna have a bad toy in America?
I mean, you gotta suspend your disbelief, because you have to assume that a company would make it possible at all to have one doll control all of their technology, including drones.
But how would they create a doll that has that capability in the first place to be sold like that? Like, I guess, that it's a very corruptible sort of system, right? Like, I'm sure you can corrupt a Siri, you can corrupt any fucking sort of new age sort of technology. I guess that's what the whole point of the film is. But what
I took this as an anti-Google film, actually.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's an anti-technology film in a sense, but it just doesn't whatever. It's a movie about a fucking killer robot. So the guy,
especially the self-driving car. Well, basically it's like I said before, I wasn't joking. In Terminator 3, like, this is basically the premise of what the girl Terminator can do.
Right.
She controls everything, and she's trying to kill people
which gives Chucky a very sort of good upper hand on people. He's able to control sort of. They make this whole big what was the name of the company? I forgot the hell the name of the company is.
Buddy.
No. It's
Kazlan.
Kazlan, right. So they basically are the Apple of this universe. And they create, items for everything. They have cars, or they're sort of like weird versions
of drones and phones.
Yeah, they're like a weird version of Apple and Tesla.
Heat, temperature, shit, like.
And
everything.
So they control all this shit, and that gives it a really interesting sort of update to Chucky's power.
Yeah, but I don't think they would ever make it possible for a children's toy to be the brain of all of it to that extent.
Well, I don't think it's a brain. It's sort of like Siri. Like when I got Apple TV. And
or Alexa,
I have a Fire Stick, and I'll be like, Alexa, turn on the TV, and it works. Or it says like HDMI, and it'll change the TV, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting, Now I realize I can't say my horrible, awful things with that thing listening to me now. It's gonna play back on me.
It's tracking you. See, this is why this, like, I'm not anti-technology, but to an extent.
Yes,
this shit is.
It is a very scary. So it is a very scary thing, and that's a sort of hidden fear within this film. It's not, you're expecting a killer doll film, but it's also a technology thing, which I think has been handled in plenty of films before.
I mean, that's like Black Mirror, but this Yeah, so they can't go for the whole serial killer and a doll thing because it's been done to death. So okay, they'll go with modern fears.
So instead of Chucky sort of wanting to take over Andy's body like in the original one, Chucky is more trying to just be his friend. He's like a sort of a dog that's, wondering why his master. Yeah, he's trying to stop everybody else. A dog who bites everybody else because they bother his master, and then he's wondering why his master is treating him like shit. And they also aged up Andy considerably. Andy, who was probably around 8 years old or 7 years old. He was like 8 years old in the original, right?
What was the significance of him having a hearing aid?
Did he? Oh, they use it at the end to fuck with Chucky's thing, isn't it?
Do they? I'm forgetting.
Yeah, the hearing aid is used to sort of fuck around with Chucky in some way. I already forgot what it was, but I know that's what it was there for. That was a whole plot thing for. I know obviously the film is also influenced by Stranger Things with having a couple of kids battle together, which is useless. Who gives a fuck about a bunch of kids, hanging together and they fight all these? Here's the thing, that the design for Chucky is god awful. I hated it, but I got used to it.
Do you hate it?
When you see him, yeah, his face is horrible. It's a horrible design. Like, I don't understand. Like, would you go to a store and buy that toy just because aesthetically how ugly it looks? It's like it's a horrible design. Like, I understand.
Wait, I'm looking at a picture.
Look at his face. It's horrible design. Like the original Child's Play toy. Like, I could believe the original Chucky doll.
Well, yeah, the original.
Before he turns ugly and shit like that, and he has like male, older man features. He looks like a toy, like a My Buddy toy. Here, where they're actually called Buddy dolls, the designs are just very cheap.
Yeah, he's a little.
And I don't understand why they look so shitty. And like this, it's 2019. Like, and the bear. Like, look at the bear doll. Like, what's the aesthetic of that bear toy? They look like weird sort of Swedish. The artwork in Midsommar, how like that artwork was interesting because of the way it looks. It's like this sort of old colonial type of weird art, or old Dutch art, or stuff like their Swedish art, obviously, and that looks like that type of art where it's not sort of learned art; it's sort of just outsider art, and that's how the Chucky looks like in here, which is not bad. Obviously, outsider art has its own sort of audience, which is fine because I'm like, oh wow, that looks pretty cool.
Definitely the first design is better.
Right. So these Chucky dolls, and like there's a whole sequence where a bunch of
it's his eyebrows.
There's a part. It's his whole face. His whole face looks all fucked up, but they all these dolls get possessed at the end, and they're all ugly looking. Like aesthetically, they're just bad looking dolls. Like I wouldn't sell these dolls. Like I don't know why they signed off on. I guess the budget must have been.
You should ask Kazlan.
The budget was very low, right, for this movie, but it made its money back.
I have no idea.
But obviously, they threw probably about $9 million to this movie. I don't think this is. They probably went the route of what's that horror company that we always see?
Full Moon?
No, Full Moon can't even have $1 of this movie. Full Moon is so cheap. I'm talking about the new ones.
Jason
Blumhouse. Like, Blumhouse, they have low money, but they make,
It had a $10 million budget, and it made $43 million.
Okay, so they made $33 million back on. So it's probably $20 million. They probably made $20 million based on advertising. Is always double the budget. So, but the looks are so bad, and that was my main gripe of the design, is the design of Chucky. That's my main gripe of it, because a film this type. At this level of a remake of something that's so beloved, I would think they would fucking fix that look before it came out.
What's interesting?
That bear looks like a fucking dog that got caught in a thunderstorm. It looks horrible. Go ahead.
The detective Mike or whatever.
He's the reimagining of the original guy in the original film, right? Or was it Jack? But I'm not sure. Go ahead.
But what I'm saying is he's the voice of Miles Morales' dad in
is he? Cool.
In the Spider-Verse movie.
Okay, cool. Good for him. Do you know that Into the Spider-Verse is the lowest earning of all those Spider-Man movies, of all of them?
It's honestly the best one.
It is. It is really good. Comparative to Spider-Man 2 myself, but
I don't
understand
how people. It's amazing.
But people don't run to see animated movies for some reason. Unless it's fucking Disney.
I don't necessarily run to watch animated movies either. But this is an amazing movie.
Yeah, it is. Into Spider-Verse.
Everybody watch that. And it is better than every other Spider-Man movie,
except for Part 2. And so what happens is that also the big concern also because Brad Dourif voice is it's Chucky. You know what I mean? He is child's play. You're watching those films to hear Brad Dourif riff.
But the whole concept is he's supposed to be like a fucking psycho.
Right. But I mean, that's what
this is a robot.
That's what you associate with child's play is a shit talking doll. You know what I mean? Just like like my favorite part in the first film is when this old lady sees Chucky.
Laugh. Oh man.
Chucky's like in the elevator because he has to like obviously go up to go get Andy and his mom, and he's like, but he has to play like he's just a fucking doll, and he's just there limp inside the elevator, and the old lady's like, oh my. What's an ugly doll? And she walks out, and then they show from far away. You see the elevator going up, and it goes, fuck you. And that's like, to me, that's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in a movie because it's so stupid.
I just love the part where he's like, when the mom is throwing him in the fire, and she's like move, and he's like, you fucking bitch, I'll fucking kill you.
No, that's the part where it's the part where she pulls the battery. Oh, she looks and she sees no battery on it, and he just turns his head around, goes, you fucking bitch, I'll kill you. He's like that. It's just so funny. It's like one of the funniest scenes ever.
He's got such a great voice, but yeah, this is like
done really well. So that was the giant hurdle for this film. It was like, how
is voiced by Mark Hamill?
Yes, right, because that's the thing. Like Freddy Krueger, obviously nobody can play him except for Robert Englund. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Well, they tried it and it bombed. Right?
Nobody can play Jason except for that guy. What's his name?
Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder. He's the best at doing what, Danny?
Just standing in a mask.
Anyway, I feel bad for him. Anyway, but that was a huge...
No, but he did his acting debut in that amazing horror A-Team movie that we saw, where they fall down an elevator for 20 minutes.
Death House. What a movie that was. Boy. Here's the thing. They were like, to me, that's the hugest hurdle they had to go. They had
huge.
They didn't announce who it was probably till 3 or 4 months till the movie released. And then they said Mark Hamill, and you know what it was? It was like, you know what? Okay.
When they said Mark Hamill, that's when I got excited.
I didn't see one complaint, probably other than Brad Dourif, but like, and probably obviously the people that.
I mean, Mark Hamill's the voice of the Joker.
I know Mark Hamill has, he's a Joker. Like to me, I think he's the best Joker incarnation out there. I do
too. Well, Jack Nicholson and Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I think they rated it, like, there was some fucking website said, as of Jokers, like, Nicholson is third, he's the second, and then obviously they gave the first one to, what's-his-face, Heath Ledger.
Bell.
Christian Bell was a great Joker. Anyway, Mark Hamill's take on the character is very much sort of a sweet, sort of okay, nice, little good friend.
He's very bland. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily know
anybody could have kind of done this voice, honestly. So I think if they were to make a sequel, I would hope they would make the sequel, but I don't know if this movie made enough to make a sequel.
It made like triple its budget.
So, but I think he's good. I think if he had sort of downloaded more sort of characteristics of the original Charles Lee Ray sort of character, and he went a little insane, that'd be good. Like, he had more personality. But the thing is, I don't know where they could go with that. But still, he did a good job. I thought he did well. He was nice. He even sings the theme song for the film.
This kid Andy could have ended this so many times in the movie before it got to the point it got to.
Yeah, of
course. As soon as you get
That's how horror movies work.
As soon as you get a mask made out of your stepfather's face or whatever, like, that's when you call the cops.
Yeah. Also rounding out the cast is Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza is playing the mother. She's playing Aubrey. She is playing Karen Barclay, the original character played by someone
Karen.
Else. What do you think about her take in this, being a young mom in this one?
I thought she did good.
Yeah, there's like people are like turned on and turned off by this woman because she has this weird sort of sarcasm to her. I think she's genuinely like out there.
What?
Like, she's sort of like a weirdo, like a real weirdo in real life.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. She was on Parks and Rec, this show, for a long time, and I think her character is half Puerto Rican, so I wonder if she's half Latino in real life. She looks it.
She's half of you.
That's right. Although she could have all of me. Yo! And there's also Gabriel Bateman, who does a pretty good job as Andy in this one, because they aged him up. Tim Matheson is in the movie as Henry Caslin. He plays the head of the corporation. Brian Tyree Henry.
I know the name. I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, he was. I think. Oh, he was the guy in I believe Rocky Horror Picture Show, right?
Which one?
The original one.
Yeah. Who does? Oh, he is really.
He's Brad. I think he's Brad.
He's Brad. Oh shit! I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, like 50 years or 40 years from then. Let
me look it up.
So, I mean, I think the cast is pretty well, I think they're great for this. Wait, let me see if Tim Matheson was actually...
No, he's not in Rocky Horror. You're full of shit. What are you talking about?
Tim Matheson was he was in the West Wing. He was in Justice League. He's been in everything. I just mistook him for the guy who played Brad in the original one.
Brad! Janet! Rocky!
I think the cast is really well. I think everybody's casted very well. I think... I don't know. What were the negative parts of this film for you? Like, story-wise, was the gore good for you?
There was some nice gore, actually.
The violence was good. The guy getting
the fucking falling on the saw crotch area was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was the guy who was like putting cameras everywhere to watch Aubrey Plaza get naked.
Yeah, like I feel like
he was the hero of the movie. Oh,
I feel like they would have thought out. Things like that when letting loose, AI, potential Terminator AI, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I think it's sort of a safe, new sort of horror film. Like the thing is, this film with its premise could have been any film, because once you take out the whole supernatural element of Child's Play, it becomes just sort of a generic killer machine movie. Mm-hmm. There's millions of the plot for this has been done 10 million times already. You know what I mean? Just like I'm sure a possessed object killing people has been done a million times. It was the X factor of Charles Lee Ray's character. So I mean, I liked it. It wasn't offensive. It was a little safe.
It wasn't offensive.
It was 100 million times better than whatever the fuck they've been doing with those sequels. The best friends I can give a shit less about. I like how he fucks that kid up. And then he joins them to help him at the end. Like, what the fuck is that about? Good gore, decent gore.
When they fight when they fight in the
when they fight all the monsters. I mean, they fight all those.
Imagine he kills that kid in the when they're fighting, and like everybody's just watching in horror, and it's like a whole separate movie out of nowhere. It's about like race relations.
What's interesting about this one is that it cuts to the plot point that the original Cult of Chucky took like 9 movies to do, where Chucky was able to push his soul onto many different dolls, where in this one he just uses AI to control all the buddy dolls and kill people. It's basically the same shit. It took him 8 movies.
You think they'll ever do a merger and just like inexplicably have all of a sudden Charles Lee Ray somehow gets sucked into an AI doll, and it's a battle between Charles Lee Ray.
I'm very sure that the new TV show will be like, oh, we're the best Child's Play movies, and then they'll like make fun of this one and make fun of like if it didn't make enough money. Although I'm pretty sure it probably made the same amount of money.
I don't understand how anybody could make those last 2 and not be ashamed of them.
So I will be there for the TV show, at least the first episode.
I really like the mask of his stepdad. That was great.
Yeah, that was such a weird like sitcom sort of thing where he couldn't have just said, no, this is just garbage, and just throw it down the fucking trash can. He had to make it a whole thing. Oh, this is a gift for this lady, a woman I don't even know. I'd be like, it's just fucking or when he was inside the house, so ooh, thank you for this doll, and then she's like, I would have been like, nah, I was just lying to my mom, it's actually trash. I would have just said it's nothing in there. That was like very sitcom-y, but it was nice that they had that little element. It was interesting, and the kids trying to get rid of a dead body.
Kind of funny.
Friends are a little bit annoying in the film.
Yeah, they were. Which Texas Chainsaw were they watching?
Was it part 3 or 2? What was on the screen? I forgot.
I don't remember, but it looked very funny. It definitely wasn't the first one. Was it the one with the guy that has the robot leg, McConaughey or Matthew McConaughey?
I don't think they allow that film to be shown on human television ever because it's so stupid, that movie.
I know, but this one looked really stupid. That's why
it might have been if it was two people fighting with a chainsaw, then it's a second one. If it has an African American dude, it's a third one. I don't remember. Okay. All those Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies turned into one movie for me. All awful. Yeah. So anyway, but this one I think it worked. You know, it is, if you are indubitably tied to the original Child's Play saga.
I mean, I definitely like the first Child's Play.
The first one is untouchable, and the second one is obviously has its own merits, and I think this is the third best out of the Child's Play films.
You think it's better than the one where they go to the army?
I don't remember liking that much, honestly. I might have to rewatch it, but if I don't really think much about it,
everybody shits on it.
Here's the thing: at least after the fourth one, it's all downhill. It's beyond downhill. It's beyond planetary. How bad those movies are.
Planetary.
Okay, so maybe this isn't as good as probably the top 3 Child's Play made films, but it's much better than whatever we've been getting recently.
I was surprised by how not bad this was.
It's like, you know, when you hear about like Hellraiser, like, you know, remember that Hellraiser one that we saw? You know, Such Sweet Suffering. Oh, you know that one. It's just so bad. Like, just go remake it. You know, but you have to obviously replace Pinhead, remake it with a whole different fucking idea. I don't think it's impossible to remake those Hellraiser movies. That's what the last one was supposed to be, a fucking sort of reboot. And look how horrible it was. And I don't know. This one is fine. It's what it is. It's just like it is a remake of the original television movie. It's, you know, you either get a good one or you don't. It's very rare that a reboot is better than an original horror film, and I don't think they were going to.
I'm trying to think of like any.
The plan, obviously, for this film wasn't trying to be better than the original film. It was just an update.
I know this could be. I know this is blasphemous.
Okay.
What I'm about to say, and it's not better, but I think it's equally good in a different way. I really like the Dawn of the Dead remake.
That's what everybody says. Everybody says that.
I mean, obviously, the original is the original. It's great. I love it.
I've seen the original film, and I've probably seen a half an hour of the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which is fine.
We didn't review it. We got to review it.
No, they're all the same shit. It's all fucking zombies, and then
people
get holed up in a building, and then 2 hours, and the zombies get in. That's every zombie movie ever made on television.
We're gonna review
of all time. That's all it is. You hide away from zombies, and then the zombies break in, and that's it. That's the movie.
I think that you're
every zombie movie has done that. Listen, the only great, well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of great zombie movies. I like the Dawn of the, I mean, what was it? The
Dawn of the Dead.
Return of the Living Dead. To me, I love that movie. Shaun of the Dead is a masterpiece. So I mean, but it's all the same shit. So Dawn of the, I'm sure back to this.
You know what they should do? They should remake Dawn of the Dead, but this time it's AI zombies.
I'll tell you this. I'm sure that exists somewhere already. Somebody had to have come up with that horse shit bullshit for that movie. Anyway, with that, any final words on this movie? Like, any ideas that you think that they can go with a sequel or what?
I don't know if there should be a sequel.
Kind of a letdown how Chucky gets it in this movie, how he dies, but whatever. Sort of a bland sort of way he died, but I'm sure he pushed his, you know, consciousness up into the clouds, as they say.
Yeah, right. He's in the cloud now.
So I would give this movie a respectable 6 out of 10.
Is Chucky? That's how it's going to come back. He's in the cloud, and he's going to.
Yeah, people were they were all wondering how he got his name Chucky, because obviously Chucky is Charles Lee Ray, but he just says Chucky in this one. So I would give this a respectable 6 out of 10. Being a maintenance man, but also being a pervert and putting a camera where Aubrey Plaza gets nude.
They are not mutually exclusive.
That's true.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for happily surprising me with not being terrible. 7 out of 10. Finding your asshole stepfather or mom's boyfriend's face staring at you in your house and not calling the cops.
And with that, Danny, what's the final word?
Decline.